NYPD highlighted how officers responded to the chaos today. As CBS 2's Ali Bauman reports, a new tactic was implemented for crowd control, and she is live now with more on all of that. Ali.
Well, Maurice, the chief of department says what happened today was something the NYPD had never quite encountered before. The sheer number of people acting so recklessly and basically nobody following the commands of officers. But police were very deliberate in how they responded because of the fact the majority of the people in the crowd were kids. The crowd in Union Square went from a couple hundred people to a couple thousand in a matter of minutes Friday.
As the crowd grew, our response grew.
The chief of department says once kids started to get unruly, tearing down construction sites, smashing squad cars, and throwing bottles and cans of paint at officers, they went to the highest level of mobilization, drawing resources from all 5 boroughs.
This is a group of young people, and we had to be very, very delicate in how we handled this.
The crowd defied repeated commands to leave. We saw police lining up around the perimeter of the park, trying to corral the teenagers out.
I had thousands of kids out there. I needed thousands of parents out there.
The hundreds of officers were finally able to clear some of the thousands of kids out of the park around 5 p.m. But we were there as kids then descended on Park Avenue like a snow squall, swinging traffic cones, climbing street poles, and jumping on outdoor dining structures. Police say some of them even took plates and knives from people dining outside and hurled them at officers. At least 2 cops had to leave in ambulances, and many more were injured.
I personally saw other people leaving here with their heads split open, cuts, bruises, lacerations, myself hitting the head.
As kids scampered around Park Avenue for 14 blocks, dodging traffic, officers followed behind in riot gear and from above with drones and aviation.
You are ordered to disperse.
They eventually were able to get them to disperse, but it was clear this was very different from other large-scale events, including the 2020 demonstrations in the wake of George Floyd.
And so it was a different kind of crowd, different kind of circumstance, and different response.
Former NYPD Sergeant Dr. Keith Taylor says after George Floyd, the city investigated how to better train officers for something like this.
Provide them appropriate equipment to handle large-scale incidents in a way that would not result with innocent people getting arrested or injured by police officers.
Well, the irony of all of this, the chief said if this influencer had gone through the proper channels for this giveaway, he could have gotten a permit for the event. Police could have put up barricades here and had officers here for crowd control. And then, Christina, Maurice, some of these kids might have been able to leave with PlayStations instead of handcuffs.
A whole different outcome, Ali. Truly, you've covered a whole number of large gatherings in the city over the years, including the George Floyd social justice protests. How would you say today's police response compared?
Well, we definitely saw a lot of restraint from the officers and a lot of reservation from the officers out here today. You really didn't see the mass arrest that we saw in some of the early days of those protests in 2020. The city just settled a couple lawsuits with protesters from 2020 over the NYPD's alleged use of kettling, which is essentially circling people, not letting them leave and arresting them instead. And that is not something that we saw here today.
We certainly did, Ali. Thank you.